everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a day. This week I want to talk about anti-vaxxers, pseudoscience, misinformation, and rhetoric. If you're not familiar with my channel, hello, what's up? My name's Jake. It's nice to meet you. What you need to know about me is I've got a really good mustache. It looks really cool and is fully developed, and I won't be taking any more questions about it at this time. I like to make fun of people on the internet that are acting wild and then analyze their behavior using social theory that I picked up during my degree in sociology. However, in addition to getting a degree in the most prestigious and enviable discipline out there, I also got a minor in English, the most sensual of the liberal arts. So today I'm going to be using that side dish of language arts training and talking about the rhetorical tactics used by people who spread misinformation. But first, let's look at some examples of the type of misinformation I'm talking about. Today I've collected examples of discourse from different locations around the internet. Some are from aggregators like Reddit, and some are directly from these various health forums and communities. There are so many different communities and subcultures on the internet that are into alternative medicines. Now, some of these are really cool. They're about faith healing, they're about crystals, they're about hallucinogenics, they're about higher powers, anything you can think of really. And let me just say that there's nothing wrong with any of that in a vacuum. Sometimes things that don't necessarily medically heal you can do a lot for your mentality, and that can actually help with real issues that are ailing you. Yay for living well. But then sometimes you cross over into the straight up delusional and objectively wrong. Take this post for example. So I was at home doing nothing special. My baby girl was watching cartoons on YouTube next to me, and that's when I noticed an ad about vaccines played. I was ready to skip it, but then Kale spoke up. Of course her name is Kale. Kale, wait a minute, mama. Me, about to skip it anyway. Why? Kale hushes me and pauses the ad. First of all, they said that measles and polio are known to kill hundreds of thousands of people every year, but they are wrong. When I had measles, I was fine. Measles is like chickenpox, but it's just more contagious. Then they said that vaccines can prevent that from happening to your children, but they're still wrong. Vaccines make the chance of getting sick 10 times worse. She pressed play and I sat in amazement of her knowledge for a 6-year-old. The ad continued for a while until she paused it again. See, the thing is that local hospital is paid for by the state. Our mayor is known to lie and deceive. Local hospital has a large death count from their vaccines. She watched the last few seconds of the ad as I was getting ready to praise her. Kale, looking from the screen and at me now. I'm glad you're my mommy and not brainwashed like daddy. I love that you got custody. He is dangerous. Wow, that's crazy that this 100% real true story actually happened. I feel like I was there. It was so vivid and realistic. Right down to the talking shit about your ex-husband part, eh, Karen? It's so interesting that your kid knows so much about hospital funding and the death rate for the local hospital and current events in mayoral politics. I love that the mom is positing to us this scenario where her daughter has all this information that exactly aligns with her stance on the issues, but she has no idea where she got it. Well, that's right, Sally Mae. The local hospital is a gulag and the mayor's a philanderer and your daddy is a no-good, drunken, waste of space piece of shit. Where do you get all this stuff? I can't help but notice that the 6-year-old didn't source any of these claims. Keep an eye out for that through the rest of these. You're not going to see much evidence from these folks. Someone called Jack Campbell because these claims are in serious need of backup. Mom, I'm scared to go to the top. Can I have my oils? Why, yes you can, sweetheart. I tossed up the new Brave Kids collection roller and she immediately applied it to her wrists, hooked it to her pants, took a deep breath, and climbed to the top. Empowering your kids is easy if you provide them with the right tools. doTERRA did good on this one. And alas, multi-level marketing claims another victim. You hate to see it. What scares me is that the people writing this dialogue, transcribing the things that their kids really said in real life, they're not even writing these phrases in a toddler's voice. They're all like full sentences with pretty good grammar. It just sounds scary when you attribute an adult's voice to a toddler.
Mother, I require the oils. Fetch me my supplements that I may apply them to my wrists and hook them to my pants. My thanks, Mother. You have appeased me for now.
And then they climb up the wall like a salamander. This type of post where they make up conversations with their kids who are smart enough to understand the anti-vax perspective are so upsetting and so common when your daughter is more woke than the rest of the world. That's not what woke means. That's not what woke is for. Please just leave woke be, okay? Put woke back where you found it. It's not yours. You know what I'm gonna be? What? A vaccine doctor. Me, stunned-faced and confused. Vaccines are poison! I know. I'm going to fix them. Fix them? Yeah, the babies and kids come to me, and I try to fix it, and if that doesn't work, then I'll try something else. Me, heart melting, and in awe that my 6-year-old daughter thinks on a completely different and higher level. Wrong kind of awe, okay. What's that kind of doctor called? A holistic doctor? Yeah, a holistic doctor. Me, in pure amazement at the conversation we just had. That's what doctors do. The babies and kids come to me and I fix their problems, and if that doesn't work, I try something else. Like a doctor does. There's no need to put the word holistic in there. Imagine, okay, your woke 6-year-old grows up. becomes a doctor, spends a ton of time and effort and money to do so, works really hard to stay up to date with research in the field of medicine, and then some crunchy granola parents refuse to allow her to treat their children because they think they know better because they read a blog post written by someone in an essential oils pyramid scheme. Wouldn't that be a shame? When your child has the flu but she needs to get well, you do what you have to, even if they don't want to. She saw the water and didn't even want get in. She had a fever of 102. Sat her in this tea bath I created for 20 minutes and her appetite came back, no fever, and she's up moving around, back to her normal self. I'm not a doctor or pretend to be. I'm an all-natural mom that would rather use natural remedies that work instead of prescriptions. Guys, I'm not claiming to be a doctor. I do, however, think I know more than doctors, and that's because I'm an all-natural mom. I'm not like some cyborg, synthetic android mom. I'm all-natural. How do these people even interact with other parents? Oh man, it sucks. My kid got sick last week. Oh shit, really? What did you do? Well, I just gave her plenty of fluids and rest and some medicine. Pretty much just did what the doctor said. Fake mom. I'm sorry, what was that? Imagine treating your kid with medicine instead of slathering them in 11 secret herbs and spices. Couldn't be me. Why is there a measles outbreak? I thought it was eradicated. I wonder why there was a measles outbreak. Member of the Facebook group Anti-Vaccination full stop. The only thing you put a full stop to is the containment of measles, you friggin' jerk-offs. So just a little rant, if I may. Bridgeport Elementary let a doctor that isn't even his doctor come to my son's school and take him to an appointment which we had no knowledge of. They didn't call or notify us that he was leaving the school, and come to find out they gave him vaccinations that he had already gotten last month. So they took my child away from his school, dropped him off by himself, which he is only 6 years old, and made him sit and get shots he didn't need all by himself. They kidnapped my son. Tomorrow is going to be an interesting day. I am begging you people to learn what a doctor does. My kid is going to be a holistic doctor who uses relevant medical research to find the best treatments for people. Not one of these regular doctors who go around kidnapping kids all willy-nilly and putting them in vaccine prison. They've turned doctors into like monsters from old Slavic folktales. Dr. Baba Yaga, MD, I treat your kids, but only if you give me the oldest one. I was at the store and I saw a kid with a band-aid from a vaccine shot and then had to yell at their parents for 10 minutes trying to explain the dangers of vaccines to them. When I was done, everyone clapped. So glad to have so many supporters. Yes, I love a good everyone clapped story. What's crazy is this is exactly what happens whenever I post a YouTube video. 1 million people watch it and they all clap for me, just like what you're doing right now, I'm sure. And then someone tries to fight me in a Walmart for, you know, the things I say. I've been assistant to the head doctor now for a while. I work at a hospital and I've been replacing this girl's vaccines who suffers from a really weak immune system. It's horrible what they are doing to her, pumping her with these toxins and vaccines. That's why I replaced all the needles with water. They just keep injecting her with water instead of vaccines, LOL. Nothing happened the first time. It's only water. After a couple weeks though, she got really sick. She's coming down on withdrawal from the poison the doctors were giving her. I just felt so bad for her, poor girl. Dear Jesus, I know I'm not a praying man, but I don't ask for much. Please let this story be fake. I googled what happens if you inject someone with pure water. I didn't peer review it, don't take medical information from me, but it seems like you might die. Not to mention the consequences of fiddling with someone's medical plan that was assigned to them by an expert in medicine, commonly known as a doctor. Hopefully a seasoned doctor's assistant would know this. But even if this person is lying, why would you make this up? For what purpose? I don't know. I just want to say, you can admit at any time that you were wrong or lying about something. You don't have to keep digging a hole. Vaccines are bad. Well, actually, they probably really are not. Yeah, well, I'm the assistant to the head doctor, so I know. Really, you are. Yeah, really. And the doctor doesn't think that vaccines are good? Well, she does, but I know better, so. How do you know better than the doctor? Well, because I give the patients different treatments without the doctor's authorization. Yeah, I just actually inject them with water instead of life-saving medicine. And then what happens? Well, they get really sick and die. I kill those people. Wow. Yeah. I guess vaccines really are bad because the doctors tried to give those people vaccines and then they died. They then died, that's what I'm saying. I gave my 3-year-old a detox bath and stuck my feet in for maybe 10 minutes to sit with him. I dried my feet off, went to go get him a towel, but started feeling like I was stepping on tiny pieces of glass when I was walking. I checked with my flashlight and there were several little shiny pieces that looked like glitter on the bottoms of both my feet. What is it? Aluminum? I was fully vaccinated. I called my mom and told her about it, and she told me that a few years ago, the same thing happened to her and my siblings when she gave them detox baths. So this person expects us to believe that the way that vaccines work is they inject us with aluminum, and then when we take detox baths, the aluminum comes out the bottom of our feet. Like Magneto pulling the iron out of that prison guard's blood. And all of that is more likely to be the cause of the shiny stuff than the 3-year-old somehow getting glitter on them. Occam's razor is getting pretty dull these days. If I'm gonna die, Ebola sounds like a better way to go than the vaccine. I know a lot of people that died from the flu shot. Give me the flu and I will drink my baking soda and water and be fine in 3 days without taking any pharmaceuticals. Okay, look, being skeptical of vaccines is one thing. I would argue that a level of skepticism about your healthcare is a good thing. Just like your government, just like your education system, just like anything that matters, you should ask tough questions and be informed. No doubt. But do I need to remind you that Ebola literally makes you shit your guts out until you die? That's not a good way to go, especially when the alternative that you suggested is getting a little owie in your shoulder and a band-aid and a lollipop. I don't know what makes people so stubborn that they would rather die pretty much the worst death imaginable than admit they were wrong about one thing. And that's where I want to transition into talking about constitutive rhetoric and the massive role that it plays in pseudoscientific discourse. So when I talk about pseudoscience, what does that mean? Pseudoscience is a term used to describe claims that appear scientific but fail to include traditional scientific safeguards against things like bias and belief perseverance. Basically, it's fake science, and it's a way of spreading misinformation by convincing people that they've done their research and done their due diligence when in fact all they found is someone that agrees with them who is lying to them. One of my psych textbooks from my undergrad identified 7 warning signs of pseudoscientific materials. And that's exaggerated claims, over-reliance on anecdotes, absence of connectivity to other research, lack of peer review, lack of self-correction when contrary evidence is published, meaningless jargon or psychobabble, which is terms that sound scientific but don't make sense, and talk of proof instead of evidence. Pretty much all of that is readily available in a lot of anti-vax discourse that you see online and that we read today. My favorite example is from the Healthy Home Economist blog, which is a juggernaut in the anti-vax movement, and the blog's author, Sarah Pope, wrote an article called Why Vaccines Are Scientific Fraud, and someone commented asking for evidence to support the claims that she made there, and this is how she responded. I have to say that Diane and Beth, your comments make me laugh, as you folks are so quick to ask for sources and proof when the benefit of vaccines is questioned, but do you ask the same questions of the pro-vaccination propaganda? Heck no. You just swallow it hook, line, and sinker because the websites look professional and come from folks with lots of letters after their names. I'm just gonna start using this whenever I'm losing an argument. Jack Campbell is, simply put, the greatest goalie of all time. That's a fact. By what metric? What do you mean best? How is he the best? Interesting that you're asking me for proof. You don't ask for proof when I say the sky is blue or that I have a Lamborghini, so where is this coming from now? You have a Lamborghini? Can I see a picture? It's in the shop. You don't have a picture of it from before? I do, okay, but just so you know, there was a watermark on it that day. So why bother? Why go around claiming things to be true that aren't? Why put your family's health at risk and try to convince others to do the same? In my opinion, the anti-vax community is able to spread pseudoscience really effectively because of their use of constitutive rhetoric. What the hell is that, Jake? Great question. So rhetoric is basically any form of speech or written word or communication that is meant to convince someone of something. So if you want people to buy your product or vote for your political campaign or not get vaccinated, you are using rhetoric to try to get them to do and believe what you want them to. And there's different kinds of rhetoric out there. One technique is called constitutive rhetoric. Now that's where you try to move people to act based on a shared set of knowledge and beliefs. You're trying to rally people and create a like-minded community and convince them to act as a collective. So you're building a group identity and you're getting the members to attach their own identity to that of the group. Constitutive rhetoric is everywhere. Politicians use it every day. They'll refer to the resiliency of all Canadians or our right as Americans or what have you. Constitutive rhetoric isn't necessarily a bad thing. Marginalized groups use it all the time because when you're combating oppression, those shared experiences of oppression can lead to a collective identity. I even used it in this video. I referred to the anti-vaxxers as these people, indicating that they are a set of people separate from myself and implying that I am aligned with an opposing group of people, which is you, my many supporters. Even though it's not necessarily a bad thing, I do think that constitutive rhetoric can lead to a stubbornness which works against our own self-interest. It's also how partisanship happens, in my opinion. It's one thing to say, on a given issue, I align with the Conservative Party or I align with the Liberal Party. But when people start saying, I'm a conservative or I'm a liberal, that's where personal identity starts playing into it. And then you might start sticking to your guns more when your party of choice starts making bad calls, because now you've tied your sense of self to your support of this party. And if you were to renege on that, it would make you look inconsistent. To bring it back to the anti-vaxxer movement, they do a lot of work to ensure that they're seen as a cohesive community. That I'm a natural mom thing that I clowned on earlier, that doesn't mean anything. You can't be a natural mom. There's no such thing as an artificial mom. Yet, anyway. But it indicates your membership to a network of people who use their collective identity to elevate their voice. And they don't back down despite a mountain of evidence that disconfirms their opinions. Now look, as I said, I'm not a medical expert. I'm not even a medical amateur. Science is not my thing. Anything that I say having to do with health in this video, take it with a grain of salt. Don't take it as fact. Do your research or get a medical professional like a doctor to do it for you. Not a holistic doctor. We don't know what that is. You don't want sociology grads giving you your medical information. We're going to tell you that the cure to the common cold is dismantling capitalism, and you're going to have to go do that, and that's going to be a whole thing. I wanted to put seize the vaccines of production on my sign, but I couldn't do it because it wouldn't fit. But just imagine if it was there, and it would be really funny, and everyone would clap. My scientific ineptness aside, the science does not support the claims that the anti-vax community makes. Widespread worry about vaccines and their potential harms dates back to a 1998 study by Andrew Wakefield, who said that there was a link between the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine and autism. You may notice that I did not say Dr. Andrew Wakefield as I normally would for someone who completed a study, and that's because Mr. Wakefield had his medical license stripped for professional misconduct related to this research. Here's a quote from Dr. Gregory Poland in a 2011 peer-reviewed Mayo Clinic Proceedings article. No credible scientific evidence, however, supports the claim that the MMR vaccine causes autism, and indeed, national medical authorities and scientific professional societies have unanimously denounced that claim. More than 20 studies have found no evidence of connection between receipt of the MMR vaccine and autism disorders. In fact, Britain's General Medical Council determined after its hearings that Wakefield was guilty of dishonesty and serious professional misconduct with regard to his MMR autism research. More recently, the editor of the British Medical Journal published a commentary stating that Wakefield's MMR autism research was clearly fraudulent. Dr. Poland concludes that article by saying, because no credible evidence during the past 13 years supports the hypothesized connection between the MMR vaccine and autism disorders, it is bereft of credible evidence and must be discarded. I'm going to put a link to Dr. Poland's article in the description of this video so you can follow up with that research if you want and read an actual medical professional's opinion of the whole vaccine issue. I would be remiss if I didn't also mention that there is a massive stench of ableism connected to these discourses. The idea that it would be worth catching and spreading an incredibly deadly disease if it meant your child didn't get autism is a terrible sentiment and a really ignorant way of addressing the autistic community. We as a society have to change the way that we think about neurodivergence as a whole, but that's a really big topic and deserves its own video. In conclusion, the anti-vax people are wildly vain and selfish to the point of thinking that they know better than thousands of doctors and bajillions of dollars worth of research, and the whole thing is so wrong. Wrong in the sense of being incorrect as well as morally yucky. I'll say again, it is good to be skeptical of medicine and authority in general. There are certainly plenty of historical and contemporary examples of medical professionals getting it wrong and causing massive suffering because of it. But heightening that caution to the point of sensationalism is a really shitty thing to do. Hopefully the ongoing pandemic is going to open people's eyes and they're going to realize how important it is to do their own research and take care of themselves, but so far it's not looking like it. I also happen to be recording this on April 26th, 2020, which is the 66th anniversary of the first trials of the polio vaccine. So there's a beautiful reminder of what science can do if we listen to the people who know what they're talking about. One more thing before I close out. If you're looking to do your own research, I recommend Google Scholar as a source. It's where I pull a lot of the pieces I cite on this channel, and you can use it to access journals and articles and studies that have been peer-reviewed by the review boards of colleges and universities and other research institutions, so you know that a bunch of experts have signed off on that stuff and said it's legit. Folks, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it entertaining and informative. If you dig it, I'd love for you to tell me what you think in the comments, like this video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I've done videos on tattoos, on prank channels, on dudes sending women unsolicited horny DMs, and so much more. I like them, so you might too. If you'd like them, it would be doing me a huge solid if you tell your friends about them. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you want to see more of what I'm up to. The links are in the description. Stay safe, everyone, and once again, thank you. You're the best, and I think you're the best. Take care, folks.